What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I know a lot of you who watch my videos are probably expecting me to freak out or act really excited for this win today, but let's be honest. It was against a pretty crap team, so saying that we won today doesn't necessarily mean we have to get super excited for it. It doesn't mean we have to jump around or get really pumped for this, Sometimes it's just nice to look at a game and be like, we played okay today. And not have to really... Who am I kidding? Yes! Come on! Whew! Up there, Arsenal. So yes, Chelsea versus Arsenal, 3-1 win at home. Really stuck it to them, and brilliantly, I might add. And so, let's just go ahead and get right into it, because obviously there are a lot of things we could talk about as far as the context of what this means. We could talk about our Arsenal out of the challenge for the title, our Liverpool now that they lost to Hull, and, the Manchester clubs. Pretty sure they're out of it already, and then of course Tottenham won today, so they're still in the race, kind of. But, all of that context, we could talk about it. But let's just talk about the game. Let's just keep the focus where it deserves to be on a truly all-around good performance today. Couple issues, but overall, I'm happy. I'm really happy with just how the team performed and everything to go along with it. So, first of all, talk about the one thing that we can't control. Like always, the referees. Today, not that bad. I've seen a lot worse. But there was some inconsistency. It bugs me that for some reason the one player in the league that gets the most leniency when it comes to referees, Francis Coquelin. I may have said this in a past review. I'm pretty sure I said it sometime last year because he doesn't play a whole lot this year. I think Xhaka's taken his place for the most part. So, yeah, I haven't seen this for a long time, but today he got a lot of leniency when he shouldn't. Last season there were several moments where he goes into some challenge, possibly a red card challenge, and gets away with a yellow, and then later on in the game he'll go into another yellow card challenge, and the referees will be like, one more. And of course the very next thing, Wenger's subbing him off, because he knows that was his last challenge. And it always happens with him. There are hardly any other players that I can think of that get it on such a consistent basis. And part of that could be because he gets so many yellows because of his position. The center defensive mid tends to get a lot of yellow cards. But for some reason, he's one that you think referees would look at and be like, he has one too many challenges. We need to start punishing him for this. We need to start punishing this consistent fouling and just getting away with it. But for some reason, they don't. And today was no different. The very first challenge he puts in, I want to say it was like 3 or 4 minutes in, Hazard is charging down the line. He slides in from behind and takes him out. Hazard would have been in. There was one defender in the middle. It would have been one-on-one Hazard. That's a yellow card. You're stopping the counterattack. You're stopping the breakaway. That's a yellow card every single time. And what makes it even worse is Mustafi makes the same challenge on the other side of the field not even 3 minutes later. So you can't say, oh, he didn't card him because it was early on in the game. Mustafi's was early on in the game too, and he gave him a yellow for that. So I don't understand why he doesn't get a card for that and Mustafi does. And then he makes another similar challenge for Hazard's goal. Hazard beats Lovren. Coquelin is pulling on him, tugging on him from behind. Not Martin Atkinson. Who was it? No, it was Atkinson. He sees it and he says, play on. So he saw that there was a foul there, and it was trying to stop him from making a breaking run. That's a yellow card. But Hazard goes and scores, and no punishment for Coquelin. And then Madic's, I think his very first foul of the game is stopping a breakaway. Instant yellow card. No thought, no consideration, just straight up to him, yellow. Why? Who knows? Maybe because it was later in the game. I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is. I don't know why Coughlin gets away with so much. But that's minor problems. Like I said, the rest of the game, the referees were fine. They didn't cause a whole lot of issues. There were no game-changing decisions that they made, even though Wenger would like you to believe that there was. So, on to the goals. The first one, like I said, Wenger wants to say, oh, it's 100% a foul. No. If Alonso had come in like this, that's a foul. He comes in like this. He gets up above Bellerin. Just because Bellerin's head is right here, at his arm level, doesn't make it a foul. And I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people need to start focusing on is people are going to go up and challenge. There are going to be challenges where one person outjumps the other one. Their arm is going to be here. Well, you can't really see. Here. And somebody's head is going to be about their arm level. As long as they're not throwing it in and as long as they're not looking at them as they go in with their arm, I don't see a foul in that. If their eyes are up at the ball and I'm jumping in like this and my arm happens to catch somebody in the face, I don't see a foul in that. There was a later challenge where I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Chan, but there was one moment where one of the Arsenal, not Chan. What am I saying? Chan doesn't play for Arsenal. Who was it then? Maybe Welbeck. But there was a moment where one of the Arsenal players kind of like swung his arm like that and hit, I think, Hazard in the face. And so that motion right there, that's worthy of a foul. And I think that's the big difference between Alonso's goal and that challenge laid on is Alonso just jumped up with his arms already in the air. That player swung his hand towards Hazard's face, and that's a foul. So I just want to clear that up. Those are obviously my opinions as a Chelsea fan. A lot of people may not take that with a whole lot of confidence because, of course, I want to say it's a goal. But I don't know. I think it's getting far too easy to say, oh, well, the referees were wrong in that case. I understand referees are going to make mistakes. They do it a lot. But to say that it's 100% a foul, and of course Wenger's not going to get fined by the FA, but if somebody else said it, probably be looked into as, oh, he's saying stuff against the referee. But I don't know. I hate the fact that Wenger had to go and say that when everybody else, on NBCSN, everybody else was like, not a foul, not a foul. Wenger's like, oh, it's 100% a foul. The second goal, easily, okay, not easily, there have been a lot of great goals this season, but easily the best goal so far of the new year. Just what a play of individual brilliance. Like the Scorpion kick goals, great. The Carroll's bicycle, great. But this is just one guy taking on, it ended up being two different people, but overall there were four major challenges that come in. The first one from Lovren, the one from behind from Coughlin, and then two more from Lovren as he's driving into the box, just for him to get it to his right foot, pop it up over Cech and Lovren, and just right into the back corner. It was all just so well worked, and it's the type of play that I expect Hazard to make. It's the type of runs that he used to make back when he was at the top of his game. And while he has been a lot better this season, I will admit over the past few games he hasn't looked back to his best. He started off the season very well. He started off with a lot of confidence. He was taking people on. He was doing all of this stuff. And then over the past few games, while he has done some good things here and there, overall his performances have definitely dropped off from the first part of the season. So to see this, it just kind of confirms that he's still got it. There was a report that I read somewhere that he has been dealing with a bit of an injury, so maybe that had something to do with it as well. But I could watch that goal again and again and again because it was just such a brilliant goal. Just a brilliant piece of individual skill. And then the final one, of course, it's Cech with a mistake. I hate to see it just because I still respect Cech and I still like him as a goalkeeper. But yeah, bad mistake, just horrible clearance, straight to Fabregas, who does a great job of, reading the fact that he's sort of coming out, and so he decides to loft it up over him. Brilliantly placed. And then unfortunately we had to give one away at the very end, and part of that I'm going to attest to the fact that we didn't have our usual back line. I said this before in the West Ham game where we lost in the League Cup. Taking Azpilicueta out of that back line and putting him on the wing-back position, I don't like it. I think it's not a good position for him. A lot of people thought that's where he was going to be whenever we switched to the back five. I don't think that's his role. I don't think he is a player who's going to get out wide. And you could see, I can't remember who picked it up. I want to say it was Ozil, but whoever picked it up, it should be Azpilicueta stepping out to him, closing down the cross, but he didn't. He didn't read it. And I think part of that is because he's not that type of player. He's not the type of player who's going to go close down a cross way out there. He's more the player who's going to get back and help defend, and that leaves enough room for him to get across in easily. Cahill didn't really track Giroud's run very well, and so it was just very easy for him. Free header in the box. And honestly, there were quite a few free headers today, and I think that's something we need to address, as we go forward with this season. There have been a lot of defensive mistakes when it comes to crossing. And part of that could be because they're not closing down the cross well enough, but the other part of it is they're not tracking the runs in the box. It's very easy nowadays for teams to hit a cross in and for somebody to get a header on it because a Chelsea player didn't track that run or something along those lines. I mean, the past 2 goals we've given up have been off of crosses and headers, and then the 2 goals we gave up against Tottenham were off crosses and headers. So I just think that's something we need to address because we're conceding too many like that. Hopefully this is just a minor blip. We're a little bit shaky in the back for certain reasons, and as we go forward, hopefully that won't be an issue. But for right now, it is something we need to address. But on to Antonio Conte's choices and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest here. I will say that I didn't like the lineup. And the only reason that is because I wanted to see a few more changes from the Liverpool game. Only because it felt like we played kind of a difficult game there where we had to do a lot of defending. Liverpool were constant attack. And so to see only one change, which, Pedro for Willian, I expected that change. I knew that was going to happen. But I was expecting Fabregas to come in for Matic. And I was expecting somebody to come in for Alonso. And neither of those happened. And I think just watching Matic play, he did well. He did some things very well. But I'm thinking about Fabregas in that position, and I think he just does so well at controlling the midfield that I don't know why he isn't featuring more often. It's one thing if it was like, okay, so Matic is playing that well to where Fabregas can't see any time on the field. That would be one thing. But the thing is, Fabregas is performing really well whenever he comes on. And Matic, while doing okay, I don't think he's done anything spectacular that makes me think, oh yeah, I need Matic out there right now. I don't see that from him. Whereas Fabregas, he does so much going forward that I want him on the field. And it may be something that we look at where instead of going with a 3-4-3 with 3 up top and then 2 in the midfield, we might want to consider a 3-5-2 so that way we have Matic, Fabregas, and Conte all in the midfield together. Now, obviously that takes away Pedro and Willian, who are both doing fairly well. Willian had a bad game last game, but I think that's the only reason he's not doing that, because he wants to use Pedro and Willian effectively. But I think if that's the case, you need to be giving Fabregas some good time because he deserves it. He's earned it with everything he's done this season. Alonso, obviously he got the goal, so it's hard for me to say a whole lot of bad about him. And honestly, defensively, he did well today. But I still think he's a little bit too easy to strip off the ball. He's not quick enough. Whereas I think if we could get somebody else out there, Kennedy is obviously very quick, so he might be a player to consider. And obviously the one that everybody wants, Ake, is definitely one that could probably fit into that position. Although I still prefer to have Ake in the back 3. But, whatever works. Obviously Alonso did get himself the goal today, so it does kind of justify Conte's decision there. But looking at the Liverpool game, he's still got a lot of mistakes in his game that if we'd come up against a team with a bit more confidence, because I think Arsenal is lacking confidence right now, I think he would have been exposed a lot more. But, like I said, it worked out. The final thing for Conte is just, once again, the subs are coming really, really late in the game. And, at 2-0, I feel confident in that lead. I feel like we've done well whenever we're up 2-0. We haven't given away the lead cheaply at that point. So I don't know why we can't seem to just get our subs in. Just let them play. Let some of these people who sit on the bench the whole time, let them get out there. But he's always waiting. Most of the time the first sub comes in the 70th minute, and then the next one will come in the 80th, and then the next one the 85th. Today, he waited for the first sub till the 80th minute, and then brought on Fabregas and... Did he bring on Fabregas and Zuma? No. No, he brought on Willian and Fabregas together, that's right. He brought them on in about the 82nd minute, and then brought Zuma on late on. And I don't understand why we're not giving more time to, especially Fabregas, but not giving more time to some of these players that don't get to play a lot, because it's hard to come into a game like this and just instantly make an impact. It takes time to grow into it. I would say it takes at least 10 minutes before you're finally at your peak. And so to give them less than 10 minutes, it kind of makes me think, no, that's not enough. There needs to be more than that. And as far as the subs themselves, I don't mind seeing Fabregas and Willian come in, but if Zuma was to come in, I don't mind that sub. I don't mind Zuma getting some time, starting to work his way back into the side. But, like I said, Azpilicueta needs to be in that back three. If you're going to bring Zuma in for Moses, you can't have Azpilicueta slide out there. You should have Zuma out there, possibly. So I don't think having Azpilicueta at that right wing-back position, I don't think that's effective. I think he's much more effective in the center, and he kind of struggles when he's put out there. And plus, Zuma, because he makes some mistakes here and there, putting him alongside David Luiz right now is a bit scary, because who knows what's going to happen then. So, but overall, it wasn't that bad. These little things could come back to haunt us if it were in a different game. So going forward onto the individual performances, Courtois had to make some great saves today. He pulled off pretty much all of them but one, and that one, of course, is the goal. And it astounds me that he continues to come up with these just incredible saves. The one in the first half where obviously it was kind of right at him, but it's a reaction save, and the fact that he has the ability to go so quickly to here and just touch it over, that was incredible. The Welbeck header that was across him, and he's already over here, and now he's got to step back across and push off just to get a hand out and touch it wide. Some of the saves today just really confirms that he is easily one of the best keepers in the league, if not the best. De Gea and Lloris, and I think that's about it right now. Well, some of the others like Heaton and Schmeichel, who are on teams that end up having a ton of shots on them. I think those keepers would have a bit of a say in that, just because, okay, well, they don't keep as many clean sheets, but look how many shots get taken on a team like Burnley. Like Heaton has to make so many saves. But I think just looking at the quality of the saves from Courtois, looking at the fact that some of these saves are coming in huge games and the importance of the saves, I think really pushes him up there into one of the keepers that you want on your team. You want to have him on your team, and if not, you're struggling as far as keeper goes. Into the back three, Azpilicueta did well today. It had a few moments of just, I guess, loss of concentration almost. It's what it looked like, in my opinion. I don't know what it was, but there were just a couple times where there's a player making a run and it feels like he should be there, and he's not. It's, at least that's what I expect from him. Maybe it's because I hold him to such a high standard that maybe he performed okay today, but to my standards it wasn't that good. But I don't know. I don't know what was going on with him today. It just seemed like he was a little bit slower than usual. David Luiz did okay. Got caught out a couple times, but for the most part, he put in a lot of really good challenges, and he was just constantly threatening anytime Arsenal came up the field. And then Cahill, usual Cahill, a couple of nervy moments, but for the most part, solid. I think, I can't really think of any moments where I was like, Cahill. And for him, that's a good day. If I'm not seeing any mistakes from him that are obvious, that's a good day for him. Whereas most of the time I'm slapping my forehead because of them. Moses and Alonso, I think, played well today. Like I said with Alonso, he got the goal, so it's hard to complain a lot about him. And defensively, where he's supposed to be really strong, he was definitely a lot more focused and not what's the word disciplined today. He definitely kept himself in a good position to cut off any Arsenal attack. Moses was on fire today as far as his attacking goes. I mean, just constantly threatening down that right side. Every single time he picked up the ball, it looked like we were about to have a chance. And there was one in particular. It was right after Hazard's goal where he dribbles through everybody. All of a sudden, there goes Moses, and he's just dribbling straight through Iwobi and just leaving him in the dust. So I love the fact that Moses is, he's had a few games where it seems like he hasn't really been involved, but I love the fact that he's still working hard because at the clubs that he's been at, Liverpool and West Ham, it always felt like he started off the season well, and then as it went on, he kind of faded away to the point where now he's on the bench. Here, he had a few games where it felt like he kind of faded away, but now all of a sudden he's back into it, and he's back to his best. He's back to the Moses that I expect to see. So I love the fact that he's not letting those few games get him down. He's still working hard. Into the midfield, Matic, like I said, average game. Like I said, nothing spectacular from him. And I think that's my only complaint is that I expect to see more from him. If he's going to be that midfielder, if he's going to win the spot over Fabregas, I want to see why he's in there. And today, partially because we were so dominant and we didn't really have to defend that much, but I didn't really see a reason for him to be in there. Conte showed why he deserves to be in there. Just once again, just like against Liverpool, all over the place. All over the place. Just winning the ball back, winning it, playing it. It's like he just doesn't stop. And I don't know what it's going to take to beat us with a player like Conte in there. And I've made this joke before, but I really think it's true. I think any team he goes to is going to do well. I don't think we're going to sell him. I hope we don't decide to sell him anytime soon. But I think the next team he goes to, if he does go to another team, he's going to win them the league. Wherever he goes, I'm confident that's what he would do. I hope he stays at Chelsea and retires here. But just always working hard, always working for the team as well. It's not just, I'm going to fight for myself. No, every single time he puts in a challenge, every single time he puts in a tackle, you can tell he's winning it back for the team. And he's looking, who am I going to pass it to? Who am I going to play it to? So just love his work ethic. If it weren't for the fact that Hazard was so on top of his form today, I would say Conte was again the man of the match. For me, though, I think even though Costa and Hazard have been really good, Spilicueta and David Luiz have been really good, I think right now Conte, for me, has been our best player this season. Just because there are so many games where certain players were playing well, but then there are other games where that same player wasn't. It feels like every single game he's been good. I would say except for the Arsenal game first half of the season, every other game he's been good. So really enjoy having him in the team, obviously. And then Pedro Hazard in behind Costa. Pedro played okay today. Didn't do as much as he normally does whenever he's having a good game. But, it's one of the few games where he didn't contribute much aside from crossing it in for the first goal. Crossed it, Costa off the crossbar, and then Alonso in. Aside from that, he didn't contribute as much, but he was definitely doing well today for Pedro. And that's kind of been my issue with him, is that whenever he's having an off game, you can tell. He's constantly giving it away. He's not doing enough to win it back. Today, he's still giving the ball away too much for me, but he wins the ball back very well. He constantly puts in a challenge. He works very hard to win the ball back in the first place. And that's not something you normally see from an attacking midfielder. So he does enough there for me to say, okay, I'm glad he was in today. And on top of that, he did some really good stuff up in the attacking third. I mean, the cross was really well done. And on top of that, he made some really good runs. Just that final ball from either Costa or Hazard wasn't good enough to get it to him, but he was in the right positions. And so he did enough for me today to say, good job, Pedro. I was happy he was in today. And honestly, that's hard for me to admit. But onto Hazard, who, like I said, was just on top of his game today. It looked like he was ready to play. He looked like he was up for this game, and honestly, even though his form has dropped off in the past few games and he hasn't produced as much, it still felt like he was involved in those games. This one, it was like he was dominating the game. And I think that's the biggest difference between Hazard on an off day this season and Hazard on a good day this season, is that last season it was like if he was having an off day, you didn't even know he was there. But when he's having a good game, you knew he was there. This season, if he's having an off day, he's still done enough to where like, oh yeah, Hazard did a few good things today. But when he's having a good day, it's like he could run the entire defense and go score if he wanted to. So watching him whenever he's on top of his form is probably one of the best things about the season so far. It's just incredible to me that he knows how to do that. He knows himself well enough to know when he can take on players, when he should get rid of it. And it's always a threat for the other team. It's always something that they have to worry about, that whenever Hazard has the ball, we need two players stepping on him or else he's going to get free and he's going to have space to do whatever he wants with it. And then finally on to Costa, who, while not terrible today, definitely did not want to have one of his best games. And here's the thing, he still worked hard today, and I appreciate how much work he puts in, just whether it's chasing down the ball, whether it's running with the ball, or trying to hold it up for other players. However, whenever he's on the ball today, I really just thought he could have done so much more. There are a couple passes that should have been fairly easy for him that were straight to a defender, or whenever he had the ball a couple times, he tried to dribble one too many times, and he should have released it a few seconds sooner. So he didn't, like I said, not a terrible game, but not one of his better games. And I think if he had been on top of his form today, we could have been up 5-0 by, near the end of the game. So, take what you will from that, but in my opinion, I think he will say to himself, I could have done better today. So, on to the subs. Willian came in and didn't really have a whole lot of time to do much, but from what I saw, he is working hard. He's still trying to get back to that form that I think he was in a few seasons ago when we won the title. So I still think he wants to improve himself. I still think he wants to continue to get better because I do think he's dropped off this season. So we'll see if that improves. Fabregas, such a calmness in the midfield. Like I've said before, he just knows how to control the midfield whenever he's on the ball and just move it around so easily that, like I said, I don't know how he's not playing more. And then Zuba comes in, and I think it was fairly late on when he came in, so not a whole lot of time to do anything. But, he's still getting some time just with the first team, trying to come back from that ACL. Hopefully soon he can hop back in there because I do think he's a better option than Cahill. And if we can just work out those kinks where he makes a few mistakes or he doesn't read the game well enough, if we can knock those out of his game, I think he would be a very effective player to have back there. So, yeah, overall, I'm happy, obviously, with the result. I'm happy, obviously, with just the performance today. I mean, dominating Arsenal, dominating the play, dominating everything about it. It's such a good game to watch for a Chelsea fan. If you want to see what's made this season so great for us, this would be the perfect example because we really showed our strengths today. Obviously disappointed with not keeping a clean sheet, but off of that, we can look at the rest of the performance and say, you know what, that last goal, I mean, you could hear the fans, they kept cheering even though Arsenal just scored. They kept chanting and just keep going because, it's just one goal. The rest of the performance has been so good. Who really cares, So, yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm looking forward. I think we've got, I don't remember who we have next week. I know it's an away game. I think it's Burnley. So we've got them next in the league, and then I think after that we've got another FA Cup game or something like that. But really things are looking up right now, 9 points ahead of Tottenham in second. So hope things keep getting better from here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What did you like and dislike about this game? Who's your man of the match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.